Hello folks, I'm Andres. Several of you may know me from our tropical birding tours that I normally lead in Ecuador or in Brazil in some places. As you know, right now Tropical Birding Tours is doing this nice thing about these virtual tours, and I'm about to take you in one of the tours that I like the most. If you've been with me in other places, you may have heard from me that one of my favorite destinations is Argentina here in South America. So this time you will be with me to this tour, Northwest Argentina, that has an extension to the Iguazu Falls. Um, and I'll be showing you, parallel to some pictures and some slides of the tour, also the track that we do in this tour. And for that I will start telling you that this tour um, doesn't start in Buenos Aires. Of course, you have to fly into Buenos Aires, which is right about here, but most of the tour takes place here in the northwest of Argentina, and it has a extension that is about 3-4 days to the Iguazu Falls, which are right here in this area. So we will be going, and I'll be showing you how this tour starts in Tucumán and progressively moves up north all the very top of the country, top northmost part of the country, in the border with Bolivia, right there. And I want to show you as an overview why this tour is so nice and rich. And the fact is that we go through several different ecosystems, starting with some yungas forest, which is a type of cloud forest. You can see right here in these areas. Green. When we go over the pass into the Andes, into the high Andes, we go into dry areas that are really rich for some specific or special birds. We move down towards another portion of yungas, move up again the Andes to some high altiplanos that are really beautiful for some special birds there, move back through yungas into some more disturbed areas and some more yungas in here, to finally do a nice trip up north through the world famous Quebrada de Humahuaca and the high altiplanos of the province of Jujuy, having some lakes to explore and to scan, and also some high mountains to go look for some cool birds before returning to the city of Salta to fly to Iguazu. And so let's start with this track, because I will be showing you some pictures right now, but going together with us in this map. For that I will be playing also a little bit of music that I normally play from Argentina while we're on tour. I hope you like it. In any case, let's start. This is what I was telling you. We'll start with the Yungas forest in the area of Rio Los Sosa. Look at this river here, it's called Rio Los Sosa, right? And notice how the forest here is really dense, really rich. It has a lot of passerines there that we look for. But one of the main things that we go for here is one of the main targets of the whole trip for several people that are looking for their last dipper. And this is the one. This is what we look for. A rufous-throated dipper. This was photographed by Sam Woods. For once, Sam took a nice, decent picture. He's an excellent photographer. I just love teasing him. But in any case, we look for this particular bird in the very first day of the tour. So starting a tour with a big target is always very nice. So we have good chances of seeing that in the first couple days. But then when we go towards the other Yungas areas, we have another backup chance. In any case, it's nice to try for this one. These areas are also famous for this particular bird, which is a endemic to Argentina, a yellow striped brushfinch, that we have 100% success rate on this particular bird here. Is fairly common in these yungas, but it is an important one. We only can see it here, and that's it. So we go for it. And we have a chance to look for other things that are in this forest, like these subspecies of black-backed grosbeak, very cool bird, or a brown-capped redstart, one of the most common voices in this Yungas forest, or rufous-browed warbling finch. This group of passerines are very nice in this forest. We spend a full morning, probably the afternoon, looking for these birds and other things together. These are just examples, of course. And we finished the day scanning this very cool lake, looking for some other waterfowl that we can start seeing in these regions. Let me just show you. So the path that we took is Tucumán here. The airport is right there. We start with a night in the hotel there and move up this valley. And when we finish birding in this valley, this is the lake we will be scanning at, and we'll finish the day in Tafí del Valle. In this lake we can have several species of coots, several species of ducks. Like this is one of the main targets for some people, the rosy-billed pochard, for instance. Yeah, and then we finish the day in the very nice city of Tafí del Valle with obviously awesome views of the Andes. Very comfortable hotel that we spent 2 nights at, and we have a chance to start with some of the nice cuisine of Argentina. You know, it's very famous for the steaks that are big, juicy, really nice, together with some wine. If you're a wine lover, Argentina is the destination. You can have so good wine for quite inexpensive prices. So we'll do that. So the next day, from here, from Tafí del Valle, we explore these particular areas of the Andes here, where we'll be looking for some more of the Argentinian endemics, and those come in the shape of well, I'll show you the endemics in a minute, but we'll start having these Andean named birds, like this Andean tinamou. This tour is really good for some tinamous. We normally see up to 4, even 5 species of tinamous. Regularly seen, for sure, 3. 4 many times, 5 with some luck. But seeing tinamous is something really good. So this is the Andean tinamou, really early in the morning in these areas in Infiernillo. And we also can have these very beautiful and picturesque birds, the red-tailed comet, which is our first go at this bird, but we'll see it in a few places in this trip. One of my main personal targets, I mean, I always love seeing these birds. One of my favorites is a black siskin we have a chance to see in this particular place. And we'll start with several of these furnarids that are high Andes furnarids. For some people kind of boring and challenging, but for me it's a very nice family to see. This is plain-breasted earth creeper. There are not many hummingbirds in the tour, but the hummingbirds that we have in this tour are very nice. Like this giant hummingbird that we typically see here. And this is when I start with the endemics. We have a chance to see several endemics of Argentina in this particular portion of the tour, in this particular morning. We have, for instance, this Morenos ground dove, or Steinbach's canastero. Plus, on a more picturesque side, we have Tucumán mountain finch, which is typically seen here. And this is one of the coolest birds that we have in this particular day, which is the white-browed tapacula, another of the endemics. And this one here is not like the typical tapaculas that are very reclusive and shy. This one stands on top of rocks. So, yeah, it's very nice. Already, we cross into another section of the Andes, but over the pass we find this Monte Desert with this beautiful cacti and some beautiful scenery that seems very dry, but it holds a few very interesting birds that are unique to this ecosystem. Like, for instance, this cinnamon warbling finch. Just to put you on the map, at this point we are over here. We have done this already, and we are over here around the Amaicha del Valle here. And we start finding these birds in these thorny areas that we don't have a chance to see elsewhere. So cinnamon warbling finch, for instance, another of the Argentinian endemics, and some more widely distributed birds like a long-tailed meadowlark, always beautiful. This is a cool bird I like a lot, and it is always close to some wetlands. Is the spectacled tyrant with that look. Very cool bird. And you see, remember this cacti that I was telling you? Well, there is a cacti-loving woodpecker, this white-fronted woodpecker, that we always find around these areas. For the cotinga lovers, these areas that are not as rich in terms of that family, we do have this cool one called the white tip plant cutter. We typically find. And we finish the morning in this wine valley. This is our hotel. It's actually a wine resort. You can see from the balconies of your room the extensive fields of grapes about to be turned into nice wine. And we in fact do some cool thing, a cool thing this afternoon. We visit these wineries, and we have a shortish tour to some wineries and some tasting. Since I'll be normally driving, I only drink 1 or 2 bottles, but we do some nice tasting there. Here you can see some of our clients enjoying some of the different wineries that are around here, and different wineries obviously have different types, and at the end of the visits we enjoy more of the birds and see more birds due to the wine. Another one of the wineries here, more industrial, we can say, that is this one here, Piatelli. And we do afterwards a little bit of birding around the town. We can have some more open ground birds like the blue and yellow tanager. This is one of the targets of this place, the Chaco earth creeper. I know it's not as nice, but then hey. Ultramarine grosbeak is sometimes seen around there, but the end of the day we go for this dude here. And it's not often that we see it, but we have a chance. This Chaco owl. It's a mega bird. Not too far from the hotel, so we'll give it a go. But we have to. It has to be fairly late in the night, because at that time of the year in Argentina we'll have long days. So the next day we are here. So the hotel is right there in Cafayate. This is the wine area, and the next day we'll be doing this right here. There's not a lot of birding done in the morning because we have a pretty long drive, but we do this. You see this path here? You see these red areas or rufusy areas here? Is one of the most beautiful areas called Quebrada de las Conchas, and this doesn't have one stretch that where the landscape is not beautiful. And so you can see here in the first tour that I did, Sam Woods was accompanying me, and he was very much into the scenery, taking pictures. And this is one of the things about this place. In every single corner there is something you want to stop at and photograph. So for the whole morning we're riding, not birding too much, but enjoying this incredible environment of Quebrada de las Conchas, that in fact for some people that have seen this movie called Wild Tales, recommendable. This takes place in this particular bridge. Some of you may recognize it. We always stop around these areas. Again, as I told you, in every corner you want to stop and just take pictures of. This is called the amphitheater. Very nice formation with a very nice acoustic sound. And a couple of the birds that we do see along this ride this morning include these burrowing parrots. The size of macaws really are pretty big, and they nest on the cliffs of these rocky areas. When we move forward, we have already gone through this Quebrada de las Conchas here and gone down in these areas to El Carril and then move up through some yungas. The time of the day that we cross through here is not the best for birding, so we just let it go, but we start birding around this area here that can hold a few things like these rufous-bellied saltator. Quite rare and difficult bird to find, but this is the main chance that we have for that one, and we can start having some of these picturesque Sierra finches. This is called the gray-hooded Sierra finch. That day we always have empanadas. One of the typical things is empanadas salteñas in this particular region, and we eat probably 20 of those. They're pretty small. Maybe I eat some 8 in this particular day, and finish the day in this little tiny town of Cachi right here. So we have gone through all these areas late in the afternoon, try to find some stuff, but seriously the main targets will come the next early morning. So we finish here. That day is a very nice town, as I told you. The accommodation is good, it's very nice. But then the next day is when we really start. We start pre-dawn. We actually stock up in some food and have breakfast in the field, right here in the field. It's pretty cold, oof, but the rewards are really nice. And this is what I mean. Elegant crested tinamou will be the very main target of that morning. We have really good chances of seeing this guy, and but we need to be there really early. This is another of Sam Wood's photo. It's probably the best photo of this tinamou. It's very nice, elegant crested tinamou. And it's not only that tinamou that we have, but we have a chance also for this guy, tawny-throated dotterel. The shorebird aficionados, they love this particular species and they want to see it. Also, some of the South American shorebirds that are unique to South America, these least seed snipe. We also have a chance to find another of the endemics of Argentina. Very boring, but it is a tapaculo. It's called a sandy gallito. And another furnarid. Oh, hold on. This is a pipit, a short-billed pipit. It's not endemic to Argentina, but it's one of the things that we find that morning. And this is the endemic that I was telling you about, the white-throated cachalote. Have a chance to see other fauna like this Andean hairy armadillo. And we finish the day here in the city of Salta, where we'll move on farther north later on. At this point, we have done this track here, back north, and we'll finish the day right here in El Huayco area and San Lorenzo. So over the next couple of days, we will start to from here, from San Lorenzo, the area of Salta, birding north in pretty focused Yungas birding, because there's still several specialties that we are missing at this point. And so between Salta and Jujuy, we have those species. And we'll be doing some birding that it is more like the typical focus birding and not getting distracted by beautiful landscape. Even though it's nice anyways, but it is the main focus birding. And so we start with this hotel. Remember that I was telling you that from the balcony we can see some really cool stuff. And it is key for several things like well, by night, this mountain forest, the screech owl that we typically get, it's a little tough, but we normally do. But from the balcony, we have a chance to get this guy here, that it is a creamback woodpecker in the bucket list of all the people that come to this tour. From the balcony as well, a few things like a crested becard or golden-billed saltators, among several other things. But then we move on farther north and we touch other portions that are a mix of forest between yungas and some chaco, and we can get things like this beast is a giant antshrike. If you're familiar with squirrel cuckoo, for instance, it is basically the same size. Yeah, just as big. But look at the bill. It eats squirrel cuckoos for breakfast. Not really. And we have a chance to scan a few more lakes in sort of lowland areas that can hold this baby here that I always like getting. It's a ringed teal. Can see a black-capped warbling finches and this ghostly looking bird that is a white monjita, beautiful tyrant. And another one, a yellow-browed tyrant in the same area. And then we move definitely north to this area here of Jujuy. It's the poorest province in Argentina and the most remote. So the accommodation from here, it is not as nice as previously, but it's still comfortable. And so this is the very last forest bird that we'll do, because we need to find this guy here, a red-faced guan. I don't have a picture, but we always look for Yunga's pygmy owl as well. Or this guy, slender-tailed woodstar, dot-fronted woodpecker, fulvous-headed brushfinch, plumbeous tyrant, and is one of the best places to see plush-crested jays. It's just an awesome bird. Again, we'll get distracted by this common bird, a red-tailed comet, and we should find some more of these furnarids in these yungas, but we are done with the yungas after finding this spot-breasted thornbird, and from here on we move north and we turn Andean, and I mean Andean. So one of these days we take this route here north and we go through one of UNESCO's heritage site, the Quebrada de Humahuaca, and the next 3-4 days is very Andean, beautiful, one of the nicest places in the whole tour and probably the nicest section of the tour for me. The one long drive that we have, that is from Yungas all the way to High Andes here, it is never boring. Even though we have to cover a lot of ground, we stop for cool things like this. Trojan Llama, this guy here is a handicraft shop, and where they serve and we can eat some llama stew, for instance, or our clients typically get and buy some handicrafts. But then soon we move farther north to Cerro de Siete Colores, and we have another of these awesome places that are just idyllic. Yep, like this. It's impossible, again, not to stop in every corner, because every different angle you want to photograph. That's basically how it is. Farther north, some different rock formations, for sure a great selfie time for that. Or just like here, we have again Sam Woods being touristy as well. So in terms of birds, in that particular day, we tend to find some cool stuff as well. Even though we drive quite a bit and we do a lot of sightseeing, we do find some chance to do some birding. We get some aplomado falcons, some Cinereus harriers, black-headed Sierra finch, hooded Sierra finch, mountain caracaras, morning Sierra finches. And then we are quite far north. Let me show you. We get to this particular point here in Abrapamba, where we'll spend one night in a very basic hotel. Quite unique. You'll see it. At some point you have to come with me. And then the next day we go before dawn and drive for about an hour and a half to get to here. This Laguna de los Pozuelos is the name. A very famous, very, very famous and huge, where we go for flamingos and several other things, waterfowl and water-related birds. And these drier areas here is where the picture is, where I'm trying to see from a long distance some flamingos. The scenery is magnificent, as you can see. Endless fields. But in terms of birds, what we find here are really nice birds, including 3 species of flamingo. This is probably the easiest to identify, the Puna flamingo, right here, with a yellow bill and black tip, very, very obvious. And then we have some Chilean flamingos. How you tell them apart easily? Look at the pink, bright pink knees of those. And then we have Andean flamingos with yellow legs. You see that? And if we start having everything named Andean flamingos, we have here Andean geese, very, very blurry, of course. Andean avocet, Andean negrito, and a few other Andean things. We have some waterfowl like crested ducks, and we have giant coots. But one of the best birds to find in this area is one that we rarely ever see. This guy here, the very rare and difficult horned coot. I've only seen it really once in 4 tours, in 5 tours. So it's magical when we do find it. Okay. Other things that we typically find around the Laguna de los Pozuelos are the Puna rias, some of the most iconic birds in South America. So have a chance for another tinamou, in this case ornate, so that we move on all the way to the border with Bolivia. This is a tiny little town there in the border of Bolivia. You can see here the river. We're on the Argentina side, and all these mountains here are the Bolivian side, so that you can see it on the map. We went here on the lake, and we moved all the way there and finished here in La Quiaca, which is a fairly big town. And here, the next day, we do one of the nicest days of the tour for me. This particular day, we take the car and we go through these plains here and up the mountains around here to Abra Leizoite. And the panorama, the views are incredible. We get to be in the highest spot of the whole tour at 15,000 feet right here, and get some panoramic views that are very, very unique. There are a ton of cool birds and a couple interesting things as well. Your participants enjoying some views, but this is what we want. This is the key thing. What we are looking for is the diadem sandpiper plover, and this is the day to get it at the end of the tour. And so a lot of people are nervous about it, and of course they should be, because it's a tough bird to find. We regularly see it, but it is tough. When we see it well. The holy grail of South American shorebirds for some people. We get other things like Andean heel star, brown-backed mockingbird. We have some cute citron-headed yellow finches, and of course Andean condors, where in the Andes they soar overhead all the time. At 15,000 feet we get mountain parakeets. Imagine. Some more earth creepers and tit tyrants like this yellow bill. And some specialties of this particular spot in the extreme north of Argentina: red-backed Sierra finch, rock earth creeper again, and a straight-billed earth creeper, plus some vicuñas. We tend to see a ton of these guys. Now, this is kind of the nicest looking bird for me in this particular tour is a wedge-tailed heel star. Such a beautiful hummingbird. We get it by the end of the tour. Yeah, it's quite confiding. It comes into tape, and it's very nice to see this bird. Kind of to finish the day or the tour in a high note, because from here on we have 4,600 kilometers back to Salta the next day. We get to do a little bit of birding, but basically what we do is start heading back from the extreme north of Argentina and the border of Bolivia all the way through here, and in one go, in one day, we finish in here in Salta, so that the next day we either finish the main tour and the people that join the extension fly from Salta to here. The Iguazu Falls. Yep. We'll be going through that. So the Iguazu Falls is a whole new world. We're done with the high Andes, we're done with the Yungas forest. We go into this Atlantic forest of the Argentinian side here, around the beautiful falls. Yep, this is what we're talking about. A full new thing in these 3-4 days is a 50-50 birding and sightseeing, because I mean, whoever doesn't enjoy this is just crazy. We stay in a hotel that it is right there in the park, whereas as you can see here, this is the national park, the Iguazu National Park, and this is the city that you fly in, but we get to stay in the hotel that is right there in the park, and it faces right here, it faces the this is the hotel right here, right the fall into the falls. Is just a beautiful thing to watch. So here the main focus, as I told you, is not birding. The main focus, not sightseeing, is 50-50. Here are some of our clients with a background of the waterfalls from the hotel grounds and the balcony. We do have some very cool birds that we look for, like this ochre-colored piculette or this blonde crested woodpecker, green-billed, or also called red-bellied toucans, and blue manakins, and rufous-headed mudmoth, and some more obscure birds of the inside forest, like the southern ant pipit. But we spent a lot of time just scanning, just seeing the waterfalls. There's plenty of trails around in those waterfalls that are very nice for you to watch. Great dusky swifts with the waterfalls in the background. Or like this one here is a great dusky swift that I managed to photograph just manning through the mist of the waterfalls, because they actually nest in these cliffs right here in between the water. So you see a ton of these birds here. Many times we manage to go and do this boat ride if people want, which gets you really wet. But it's a nice experience here. We're doing that, or just exploring through the upper trails of the national park. Again, every corner has its own charm. It's just very beautiful. Yeah, look at this. I mean, it's just incredible. It's a speechless. You end up speechless in here. Reportedly, Eleanor Roosevelt, when she saw the waterfalls for the first time, the first thing she said was, "Poor Niagara," and you can see why. This is a portion of the waterfalls that is called the Devil's Throat, which is right in there. So you see that the river comes from here, and obviously because of the strength of the river and the water, it opens up like that, but in this particular corner it just falls down like that. So we get to explore these areas from many different viewpoints. But then we also do some birding again, and we go to visit a hummingbird garden to get these mangoes or green-headed tanagers or plan alto, hermits, some more plush-crested jays, but this time really up close. Again, some trogons, because we're in a much more tropical, it's actually subtropical forest, but you will feel a lot more tropical with the species like these also, yellow-fronted woodpecker. And that's it. A lot of people like spending a couple nights in Buenos Aires, and so that they can explore the craziness of the big city, looking for football, looking for a steak, looking for the beautiful architecture. It's really up to you. So I hope that you have enjoyed this virtual tour, and that's it. Thank you, guys.